that's the thing leading into like, because we have the bye week now, and I was like, okay, who do the Chiefs play? Because we played the Chiefs on our week coming back from the bye week, and I'm like, I looked it up this morning, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, the Chiefs have a bye also. Great. And then I was
It's the Chiefs, us, and the Lions, I believe.
And
Detroit Lions, I believe. So all three of us have bye weeks this week.
And the Dolphins do too. And that's who, like, I have Tua on fantasy.
Right.
You didn't watch. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I'm going to talk with you again. Dude. Okay.
What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah, okay. CB myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need to hit a fucking traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One Set.
Dude, how about them Eagles? Huh?
Can we even talk about how we just randomly came on tonight with both of our Eagles jerseys on?
Okay, so I knew we were gonna talk about it, and you're donning one of the like newer green, like the Kelly green for Hurts, right?
Kelly green, because my last Hurts jersey either got lost in the abyss or it got stolen somehow because I can't find that. Whoopsie!
It just fell off a truck.
It just had legs. It fell off a truck. Yeah, let's just put it in that. Yeah. So I gave it like 3-4 weeks to be like, okay, if I can't find this, it's either one of two things. It got lost, or, you know, I just can't find this thing, or somebody took it, and I'm either just going to wait until either next season to get another jersey, or once I saw the Kelly greens, I'm like, I need to get that. So I went after the Kelly Green game against the
Dolphins.
I ended up, I'm like, yeah, I got to get one because I can get another Hurts jersey that's like the typical one for this year, but I think the Kelly Green ones have more importance, and you know, so they're only wearing them another time this year. So, you know, the only other jersey I've really had was the McNabb jersey that I've been wearing in replace of the Hurts jersey. So it's good to kind of upgrade at this point.
Dude, tell me that you've seen, sorry, just shifting for a moment. Tell me you've seen the Hulu commercial where they stretch out the jersey and it's instead of like Hurts. Dude, I was like, whoever like came up with that, give that person a raise.
Give
honestly,
that
like,
dude a raise.
Yes, yeah. seriously. And I was just like, I watch it every time, and I just smile. I'm like, whoever thought to do that,
brilliant.
And I think about this. I know right before we started the episode, we were talking about like you and I were both at the same diner, just missed each other, right?
It had to be within like a half hour, 45 minutes that we missed each other. Yeah,
dude. I wouldn't even say 15, 20 minutes. Honestly, I think you probably left, and then I was there within the next 10, 15, 20 minutes tops, based off the timestamps that we were talking about. So crazy because we're talking about the same servers that we saw, that we went to school with, and how packed it was. I mean, and when I got there were people waiting outside. I think like us, like a sports team was waiting to get seated all together. So there were people outside, and all I was doing was picking up. And because I was telling you, and I'll tell everyone else, we had like this like microwave, like quick heat, because quick heat in the microwave, puncture, microwave, pull the seal, stir it, put it back in, another minute, let it sit for a minute. Something just a quick fix like that, because we had plans to go do this, that, and the other for football on Sunday. We were actually going to go to the Eagles tailgate with some friends, but it kind of just fell through, and it was like, all right. And now it was actually like mildly a dispute. And I say mildly because I can't say it was totally about this, because the person that was actually organizing it, um, claimed that she fell sick, which is fine. Like,
Yeah.
if you're sick, you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
The dispute was, and not a dispute, but like just a conversation of like how we were all getting to the city, and there were almost a dozen of us, and it's like, oh, well, we'll just catch 2 extra large Ubers, and it's like, but the conversation of just taking the train was a thing, and it's like, I mean, you pay with your time or you pay with your money, right? Like, you're gonna pay way less to take the train, and it's gonna take you an hour to get there, but you don't have a car to worry about in this city. Driving in, dealing with traffic, or Ubering in, which is like $40 to $50 from where we are just to get there. And I know that because I just did it like a month ago, right?
Absolutely.
So it was just kind of like
traffic
like
is crazy.
navigating logistics, and especially for that game, that's a divisional game between rivals, like the rivals, right? It kind of worked out that we didn't go, and then we made, like, China and I made alternative plans, and it was fine. And I'm not even going to get into the rest of it, because it's like, I'm just not even going to get into it, because like, whatever panned out, it panned out, and it's fine. We still had our day, and the Eagles still won. That's all I really cared about. Okay.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and we'll get into it. I mean, it was a
Oh, we're
it
about
was
to get into it, y'all. Like, we're going to get into
Yeah.
it, okay?
Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencastr. Zencastr is the ultimate base podcasting solution, and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layer backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. When you're talking about hydration is not only for people training for championships and marathons. We're talking about daily maintenance people. Jim, did you know that 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated?
I believe it, Anth. I mean, honestly, in my line of work, dealing with teaching children and also dancing with adults my age, younger and older, I can almost tell based off of how well people not just perform athletically, but how we carry ourselves and how we communicate back and forth, our facial gestures and just our energy alone. I can tell when somebody's sluggish and they're sleep deprived versus they're just sluggish because they're a dried up sponge, because they are dehydrated, right?
Absolutely. And for people like me who are working the 9 to 5 and, for me gigging at night, proper hydration is definitely crucial to maintain function throughout the day and keeping yourself energized. And that's why proper functional hydration is essential. And who's going to give it to you? Liquid IV, because Liquid IV is the #1 powered hydration brand in America. Their hydration multiplier is the one product you're missing in your daily routine. I like to use it first thing in the morning. I've been doing a lot of workouts here and there, so I pop it in my water bottle first thing in the morning. Gives me a little boost of energy, what I need. And sometimes during the day when I'm doing that like 2 o'clock, rundown, I'll pop a little one. If not in the morning, it gives me a little bit of that energy that I need. With just one stick, you can hydrate real life 2 times faster than water alone, plus get essential vitamins and 3 times the electrolytes as the leading sports drink. And not only that, Liquid IV comes in 12 delicious, refreshing flavors to keep your hydration routine exciting.
Yeah, Anth. I mean, for me personally, like my day to day, I'll wake up and pop a Liquid IV just to get my day started and start off with proper hydration. And then I am like required to be physically active between the hours of like 2 or 3 p.m. until 9, 10, 11, sometimes midnight if I'm doing a backup gig. So I'll do another one maybe around noon, 1 p.m., and that'll keep me going throughout the day. And I just feel so much better. I don't even drink coffee on the regular like that because I don't need to pick me up unless if I'm like really just not sleeping much. And then I'm like, all right, get me that. I don't like to rely on caffeine unless I absolutely feel like I need it. Liquid IV does the trick for me. I don't know about you.
Again, one stick with Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficient than water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drinks, and it's made with quality ingredients, non-GMO, and free of gluten, dairy, and soy.
Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. They partner with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions that help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50 plus countries around the world.
Yeah, man. Real people, real flavor, real hydrating. Get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use our code 1SETPOD. That's 1SETPOD and at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code 1SETPOD at liquidiv.com. Overall, I thought it was just a great battle between the two teams. I think this was probably the best Dallas Philly game in the last couple years.
So for me, this game was a very NFC championship contender game kind of thing, right? Like if one of them was the division leader and one of them was a wild card, and then they both happened to wind up at the NFC championship, it was like that level heavy for a game, right? And I know
like it could have been for Dallas. They would have beat the 49ers last year, but they kind of choked again.
Because they're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have loved. I was rooting for the Eagles and Cowboys to be in the NFC Championship game because I'm like, this could be the game of games for years. Because I've never, at least from what I can remember, I've never seen Philly and Dallas in a championship game ever. There probably has been, maybe, but we'll have to double check that. But at least from my watching, I've never seen that. So I'm like, I would love that. So then a lot of the Philly and Cowboy fans around us can just be like, hey, this is the game of games. Who's going to win? Who's the better one? Because this is going to be bragging rights for the next couple of years.
And even though we're just coming off of baseball, that is exactly what happened with the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves in the divisional series. Yeah. Just weeks ago at this point, right?
Weeks ago.
And that to us was like, okay, whoever wins this series is winning the World Series. They're winning it all. And broadcasters, so many people said that, and it went a totally other direction, and people were like, Yeah, this is like the lowest viewed World Series ever, because it's just two teams that, like, generally across the country
Nobody
really gives a about, right? Give me a second.
No.
But yeah,
I didn't even watch any of the World Series. The only time that I really watched it was the Friday night that I had the gig and they were doing game one. And I'm just singing. I'm like, oh, okay, they got the game on. Cool. Nobody's really paying attention to it, but it's all good.
Yeah,
it didn't stop anybody from playing.
I didn't go out of my way to watch it. Was like, I came home from work and the second half of the game was on. It was like, all right, well, I'm settling into bed. I'm just gonna put this game on, and it wasn't big. I wanted the Diamondbacks to lose so bad because I was so bent out of shape about them beating the Phillies.
Absolutely.
And I also knew, and we talked about this a couple episodes ago, about how the Rangers Astros series felt like a World Series championship game, and was probably more important to both of those teams than the World Series championship matchup itself. So here we are again, talking about like the Eagles and the Cowboys. And I was like, this game needs to be a primetime Sunday night game right here, right? And I think that the game at Dallas, I just changed my wallpaper again. But I changed.
Yeah, I forget the time of that game, but yeah, when they're in Dallas. But yeah,
it's a Sunday night game at Dallas,
right.
Because NFL knows this is like a matchup that, like, it's prime time. Everybody needs to see, kind of thing.
And especially after the game they just played, more people are going to watch this game because it just went down to the wire. Talk about heart attacks. I almost had one, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one.
Okay, so should we just do, like, you take us through the play-by-play and then I take us through the play-by-play? Because we'll go back and forth, and we'll be doing this episode for a long, long time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember play-by-play, but I mean, I remember. I mean, I watched a good chunk of everything, but, like, you know, the first series we did, I mean, we were looking pretty good. You know, we got the ball second. I believe we probably, I'm not sure how good Dallas's first series was, but I know we got the ball. We got a touchdown out of it. So, I mean, we ran down the field pretty well and we got an early touchdown, and then Dallas scored. We're like, okay, I mean, you knew off the bat, this was going to be a back and forth touchdown. Then somebody's going to have to stop it on somebody on D, and then somebody gets another touchdown. Hence what the Eagles did. It was 7-7. Somebody had to get a defensive stop before it was going to go back and forth. We got a defensive stop, and I think we got a touchdown out of it. We tried, and then Dallas got a field goal. We tried to match that, didn't get that. That's when Hurts went down for a little bit, and that's what was like the biggest scare of the whole game, because it wasn't even actually that he did it. I think one of the offensive players, you know, ended up just backing up to his knee, and his knee buckled a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and like, did you sit and watch the whole game? Like, were you just like paying attention the entire time? Like, were you zoned in on your TV the entire time?
85%, because, you know, little guy was trying to get me to play Ninja Turtles while I was watching the game. So, you know, I had to, you know, keep on doing the Ninja Turtle thing and then watching the game, Ninja Turtle thing, watching the game. I was still in the room while the game was on, but, you know, I was still able to pay attention, but then had to pay attention to him, watch a series, pay attention to him, watch a series, you know what I'm talking about.
So next question, you were watching this at your place, not at your parents', because I know sometimes you do Sundays at your folks, kind of thing.
Yeah, we were going to go over. we were going to go over, but then we ended up just staying at the house. We just watched it at my house. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got in a little bit before. It was like 3:45. The game started at 4:25.
Yeah.
And Cheyenne was making buffalo chicken dip, and I saw this thing online, and I was like, I want to do these like homemade Dorito like taco shells and tacos. But I did those as like, okay, I'm running a test to see if this works kind of thing. It wasn't like that was dinner. Especially my dad was like, yeah, no, I'm grilling ribs. And I was like, Jeffy want the rib.
Yeah, right.
Jeffy want the rib.
Jeffy wants ribs.
The rib, right? So once I knew that there was like a plan for a smorgasbord, and like, look, I'm all for like, hey, let's all get together and let's have like snacks. Like, it was like from 4:00 until 9:00. It was like food. I'm not a foodie on that level. I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm good with like snacks, dip, tortilla chips.
Yeah.
The tacos I was making. Like I said, that wasn't supposed to be dinner, and I found out my dad was like, I'm making the ribs. I was like,
yeah. Come on, Daddy.
Come on, Zaddy. Over here. Any rate, it went from Cheyenne was making a dip, and I was contemplating doing the tacos because I knew ribs were coming, and I was like, I can't do all of that while I'm watching the game. Like, I don't want to go into food coma and then just fall asleep at 7:45, despite the fact that it was daylight savings and the sun went down at like 2:30 in the afternoon, right? Obviously exaggerated.
Hate it.
But
I hate it.
It's awful. It is awful. So on a serious note, not to like interject, but like my dad went to the doctors last week and they told him like he's diabetic. So they're like, okay, you need to do like the prick your finger and the test and all this stuff. So
yeah.
So they sent a prescription to his pharmacist and he went to pick it up and it was just like and he was like, what's all this? So we looked at it and then I looked it up and I was like, oh, well, you need this. So you got to insert, it's called like the lance something into the lancer. You need a device to insert it into to actually prick your finger to catch the blood.
Yeah. So then it's no more kind of like you don't necessarily have to like prick something. Like there's a device that pricks your finger and then it actually captures. So you don't have to necessarily prick your finger first, then put it. It's a more easier device, I think.
Yeah, you're not taking a safety pin or a rusty earring and just going meh, right?
Right. Make blood, meh.
Make blood, meh. And then so it was like the second quarter. And I'm outside on the deck and I'm reading like the instructions for the thing, like, cause he got the device to insert the thing into to draw the blood. And he's like, well, and then what? And I was like, you need like the monitor, the reader. And he's like, well, I don't have that. I was like, guess we got to go over to the drugstore and see. So then he was frustrated because he's like, hey, this is my first time doing this and nobody really walked me through all the things that I need. They just expected me to figure it out kind of thing. So he's on a tirade, kind of. And I shouldn't
understandable.
I shouldn't be like dispensing his personal information like that. But I mean, it's frustrating if you're anyone that like just finds
Yeah.
out, hey, you have this thing going on. Here's the script. And long story short, it was the pharmacy was supposed to give him all the other things. They just didn't have it. So when he went to pick it up, they just gave him what they
Right.
had and sent him on his way. So it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
We
Been
found
nice
out
they would have let him know. Yeah.
we found out all the like stuff that he needs, and they're getting shipped and they're on their way. But anyway, that was like the second quarter of the game. And I took him out to one drugstore and then another one, and then we went home, and then he figured it out, like what exactly he needed. And then I guess it was the next day he was like, oh yeah, my insurance covers all of the stuff, so I don't have to pay out of pocket, kind of thing.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which was one of the things he said is like, why did I get a prescription for these little biscuits over here, and then I don't get like the rest of the
Mhm.
stuff to help me help myself, like test and stuff.
Yeah.
His like blood sugar and all that. So I missed the second quarter of the game, but I came back, and I think at halftime, Dallas was up 17-14.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at like the quarter to quarter. That's definitely a thing. And then Dallas did
And then we
nothing.
had the ball
Dallas did
behind it.
nothing
Yeah.
in the third quarter, and then we came back, and then we were ahead, and we were strong in the third quarter. And then,
Yeah. hmm
dude, the last, like the end of the fourth quarter,
The
heart
last
attacks
6 minutes of the game was heart attacks all over. Yeah.
all over, because I'm like, okay, this is where the Eagles should just definitively win this game. They're already ahead. Just sign, seal, deliver, get it done. And instead, they gave Dallas the opportunity to come back and win the game. And I'm just sitting there like, they're really gonna let this happen. They're really gonna let this up. And I was
my dad had texted me saying like 8-1, we're good. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, hold on. There's still like 4 minutes left. A lot can happen because we've known to take this thing. Hold up. Wait a minute. Because you never know what's going to happen. Because, I mean, Eagles haven't really been able to close out a game like terrifically well this season. It's always been like a little bit of a shaker. So it was like 4 minutes-ish. And minutes-ish. I can't speak these days. Maybe it's the lack of sleep that I had yesterday.
Thanks, little guy. Love you, bro.
Thanks, guy.
Yeah.
Love it, son. Yeah. But we gave it back to Dallas, and I'm like, all right, they're either going to run this back and it's going to be another heart attack, or we're going to stop them. And then all those penalties happened, which one of those penalties that they called the pass interference. Everybody's talking about the pass interference at the end zone. They should have been talking about the pass interference, I think, on Bradbury. That wasn't even a pass interference. But then again, they were calling that pass interference on both sides all game.
No,
we basically gave Dallas the game, but they couldn't deliver.
Look, I am understanding that there are bad calls, or that there's calls that are made that I didn't see it, and then even on a replay, I'm like, that's a stretch. I just, at one point where I started to lose faith, I was just like saying, like, this is because Dallas brings in the more money, and this is this is sports being rigged right here. This is why the refs are skewed, right? But I don't know. I think ultimately, I thought Prescott was going into the end zone with the ball when I saw him start to run, and then when they turned him upside down and dropped him on that, what was it, like the 1st or 2nd yard line, dude, I was jonesing. I was like, if anyone,
I got about yeah,
if anyone did that to Jalen Hurts, and then the Eagles lost, I would be bent out of shape. And that's the one reason why we haven't heard in the last day, or I mean, this is coming out after the fact, but I haven't heard "We the Boys." Like,
Right.
if they did that to Jalen Hurts and then the Cowboys won the game, oh please, I would have earmuffs on all week long. I'd probably call out of work because I wouldn't want to hear kids say, "Oh, Dallas beat the Eagles. What are you doing wearing your Eagles jersey? What are you doing wearing the Phillies hat? Because the Phillies didn't even make it to the World Series. What are you doing?" Right? So all of that. And a bag of chips.
Now you got to hear the Dallas fans all saying like, "Well, the refs were on the Eagles' side, and I mean, Dak put in so much more yardage than Jalen Hurts. So look at the stats. Dallas had a better game."
Yeah, I don't know.
Dallas can never be happy. Dallas are always sore losers, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean,
and again, we would have been pissed off too if we would have lost because we just pretty much would have gave them the game at that end. If they would have scored legitimately, we deserve to lose that because we gave them the game. But
yeah, and okay,
it was all on Dallas at that point.
So that's the thing leading into like because we have the bye week now, and I was like, okay, who do the Chiefs play? Because we played the Chiefs on our week coming back from the bye week, and I'm like, I looked it up this morning, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, the Chiefs have a bye also. Great. And then I was
it's the Chiefs, us, and the Lions, I believe.
And
Detroit, Detroit Lions, I believe. So all three of us have bye weeks this week.
And the Dolphins do too. And that's who, like, I have Tua on fantasy.
Right.
You didn't watch. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Dude, okay. First of all, what is my quaff doing up here? Yeah, that helped. Jeez. I just need Tua and the Miami offense to look strong again, and I might have a shot of winning one of these freaking weeks, okay? And granted, I get it. We're playing the Chiefs. It's fine. Miami had a chance to win that game in Germany, okay? I cannot freaking believe. I'm. This still stresses me out almost more than the Eagles almost blowing the game and giving it to Dallas.
Yeah, I didn't see any of the Germany game.
Okay.
But I heard it was a decent game.
Dude. It was, oh, geez. 21-14, I think. Hold on. I'll pull up the score while I chat about it because I actually like these international games because we get football in the morning. Like you wake up and you're like, oh, shoot, there's football on now, right? And then you run down and you turn it on. If it's a decent game, which, look, Kansas City Chiefs, Miami Dolphins, that's a game that you want to tune into at 9:30 in the morning if you can, right?
That's a seller.
So, and this, I was talking about this, I think, the week that I lost again. And again, this is my first year playing fantasy ever. So for me to be eating it as bad as I am, I'm like, I'm learning. Like I'm playing.
You're learning the ropes of the whole thing. So yeah,
I'm playing fantasy with people that have been doing this for longer than I have, right? So, so the week that we lost, or no, the week that the Eagles beat Miami, which I said was pivotal. We had to. Especially after we just lost to the Jets. I was like, that could be your one fluke loss and then come back and be strong. And they looked strong against the Dolphins. And then I really wish that they were a little bit more dominant and didn't like almost throw in the towel at the end with Dallas. It would have made us look a lot stronger and feel a lot more confident going into the bye week and coming out of the bye week and going and playing in Kansas City. The rematch from the Super Bowl. It's not it's not a Super Bowl rematch because they're not playing in a Super Bowl, but it's still the rematch from the Super Bowl, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So the Chiefs are up. I mean, the Chiefs were up 21-0. Okay. At halftime. So I was like, the Dolphins are just like Miami's just gonna choke on this one. And then it came back and looked strong, and they got 14 points in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, it was so back and forth. But it was a lot of like long drives and a lot of like awkward, like, okay, that should have been a completion and it wasn't. Penalties here.
Gotcha.
A lot of long stuff. So it looks like the Chiefs have the ball, and it looks like they're just going to secure the win. And then it goes back to Miami with like a minute and a half, I think it was. It was under the 2-minute warning, from what I remember. And Miami goes up the field, and it's fourth down with like a minute and 20 or maybe like, I don't know, less, closer to 55 seconds. And they snap the ball, and Tua fumbles the snap. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't even care about my fantasy at that point. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
Like, I'm not looking at my.
Like, there was no coming back. Like Miami beating Kansas City. At least Tua doing better would have given me a higher probability chance of winning my matchup, and it just didn't happen. And I was just like, all right. And that's why I looked this morning. I was like, well, the Chiefs swung out a win on account of Miami totally ate poop at the end of that game in Germany. Who does Kansas City play this weekend while the Eagles have their bye week? And then I found out Kansas City also has the bye. And I'm just like, that's not what I wanted to hear. It's because I don't know everyone's schedules going into the week or into the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, both teams are coming off of a bye week, so they're both going to be rested, which, if you really want to say the league has a little bit of a rigged system in there, if they're really going to try to put that as like the championship rematch, you obviously want both teams to be fully rested and play the best game if they're going to be able to put on their best game. So you don't want a championship rematch to just look like crap like that. But it would have been giving us advantage if the Chiefs were not on a bye week and maybe their bye week was after our game or something. But both of them being in a bye week, they're going to both come at full strength. But, us not having Dallas Goedert is going to be a little bit of a hit because he's looking to be out for about 4 weeks, they're saying. So it's definitely going to take a hit because he's definitely our top tight end for the team. So
sure.
But, we do have other people that will be able to pick up from that.
Yeah. And I mean, we talked earlier about this, like, next leg after the bye round. And really, like, the Bills just lost to the Bengals. Granted, like, they are rivals and stuff, but, like, neither of those teams are as strong as they were a year ago. And I'll say that with confidence and acknowledge, like, look, the Eagles were stronger a year ago than they are now, right? I mean, they're cranking out all these wins, but it's just like almost in happenstance. And I don't want to say it's their schedule, and especially
But
the
you kind
loss
of
of
want
the
to say it too. I mean, yeah,
I
you
mean
kind of want to blame it on the schedule a little bit. It's not like last year's, because last year's was a lot easier. I mean, and when you're saying you're 8-1, I mean, even if it was like the Patriots 8-1, not all 8 of those wins are always blowouts or easy wins. There's going to be games where they just get out of it alive.
yeah,
It's just the
well,
fact that we've had more situations like that this year.
I know like Tom Brady and the Patriots had tough beating the Dolphins in Miami. And I totally think that a lot of that had to do with they are so used to playing in the cold climate up in New England. And then they go down and play in Florida where it's 80 degrees always when they go down there.
Yeah, totally
right?
180.
Yeah. And you're in Dolphins territory and they're used to playing down in warm weather because they're in well, they're used to just like practicing outside when it's warm kind of thing. Let alone playing games that are down there. But I mean, really, after the Chiefs, the Bills, going into the season, I was like, oh, they're a threat. They're not like super solid right now. I don't know what the record is.
They lost to the Bengals last night, right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's,
I mean,
that's kind of what I was just saying.
they've been kind of having a 50-50 season. So, I mean, I feel confident going in. I'm not saying they're winning, but I have more of a confidence saying they can win because the Bills haven't looked too great this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills are 5-4 right now, right? So
yeah, I'm not underestimating them at all.
No, and I mean, the thing is, we are playing in Kansas City, but then we're hosting the Bills and we're hosting the Niners, and the Niners, they might have gotten a strong start, but they're not doing a lot right now. So,
yeah.
My friend Mike that I talk about on here when I talk about sports, and I'm like, my friend Mike, he's like, I'm not worried about Kansas City. I was like, nobody was worried about the Jets either. We just played a bad game, right? I mean, my thing was like, I asked him this morning, I was like, where was the Eagles defense against Dallas? Because we put up points. Our O-line was okay. Like, that's not the issue. Like, why couldn't we do our job on defense and hold up Dallas? And then, I say that and I'm like, oh, well, they held up Dak in the tombstone pile driver. You got served. Everything that you see with him upside down thing. Like, where I thought that he was going to run in and he dove upside down and I was like, biggest mistake of your lives, right?
When I just saw him flip, I just got it on my seat. I'm like, oh,
yeah, dude. Oh man. I'm excited.
That was great.
I am excited to see how the rest of the season pans out, especially after that. The Seahawks.
It's gonna be a tough back nine. It's definitely gonna be. It's definitely gonna show. I mean, we know they're going into the playoffs at this point. I mean, it's pretty good and said, but as far as they go, I think these next 3 or 4 games are really going to tell how they're going to do in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I always think the Seahawks are like it could go either way kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They literally just lost to the Ravens yesterday, 37-3. They got blasted.
Yeah, they got blown.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, good. Let's knock them down a couple pedestals.
The Giants got blown out too. That was 2. There was a lot of like blowouts this yesterday being Sunday. Obviously, being put out on Friday, but there were like 2 or 3 blowouts. I know the Giants got blown out, and like the one you said, the like 33-3 or 30-something-3. They got blown out. So I think there was another one that was a decent blowout. So it was definitely a couple teams, but yeah, just it was odd to see that many blowouts.
I mean, the Houston Texans beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to me is like wild, right? I don't know if you heard about that one. I didn't see the game, but you see that matchup and you're just like, okay, Buccaneers, they're not like the team with Tom Brady, but they've been a generally strong team for some time. So when you see a loss like that, you're just like, whoa, like, what happened here, right? But really, just looking at like the standings real quick, and we'll do this just kind of like to wrap up the NFL talk. Come on, hello, where are you?
Hi.
Load. I was looking at the hi, how are you? Hey, little mama, how you doing? Let me whisper in your ear, right? AFC East. Yeah. Dolphins are leading the AFC East 6-3 with the Bills right under them 5-4. Jets. Seeing the Patriots in the bottom of the division is just like a wild thing for us to see because since I watch football, the Patriots have always been. It's the same thing with the Yankees. Like seeing the Yankees
on top
has just been something that we've been used to, right? AFC West, Chiefs are in the lead 7-2, and under them is the Chargers 4-4. I'm guessing that's updated as of now because the Chargers played the Jets. I don't know the outcome of that game because we're recording this as that game was just wrapping up.
I think the Chargers were up last time I saw it, so I think they might have pulled it off.
Yeah,
they might be 5-4 at this point. So yeah.
Final was Chargers 27, Jets 6. Okay, so that just happened.
There you go.
But the AFC West is literally the Chiefs are sitting on top 7-2, and then under them is the Chargers at 4-4, Raiders at 4-5, Broncos at 3-5. So needless to say, the Chiefs have essentially clinched the playoff berth.
At this point, for them.
At this point,
I think the Lions on that side have been doing pretty well too. I think because I read something today that outside of the NFC for the Eagles, on the AFC side, obviously the Chiefs and I think the Lions are like two of the more dangerous teams.
Lions are NFC North. They're on the National League. So
yeah.
Your next top dangerous team is the Ravens. They're also sitting at 7-2 on the AFC North.
They were talking about the Ravens too, that they were just running. They're just running through teams this season.
Yeah, and Jacksonville Jaguars are sitting at 6-2. So, granted, AFC South underneath of them is the Texans at 4-4, the Colts at 4-5, and the Titans at 3-5. So, really, on the AFC end, it's very like if you're not leading the division. Okay, the Steelers are 5-3, and the Bills are 5-4. They're like currently everyone outside of them, like they need to have a way better like next stretch of the season, or else they might as well just go home now, right? So, NFC a little more interesting because you have records that speak to it. Like Eagles are sitting at 8-1, Cowboys at 5-3. Like they could still make it in on the wild card. And I say that because the Niners are at 5-3, the Seahawks are at 5-3, the Lions are at 6-2. Like the Lions, like Detroit Lions being at 6-2, and pardon me, they were a team for, I guess, the first 5 to 10 years that I even started paying attention to sports, that everyone's just like, nope, they're abysmal. And now, and I actually think it's because I think it's because the fan base is starting to be like, hey, we got to do something to ramp these people up and make them feel important. Just like how the fan base made the Phillies get into the postseason and do good, but like there's problems in the clubhouse that they need to fix to actually make them not just World Series contenders, but actually just secure them to go win, right? And then
Absolutely.
and then you have the NFC South that's sitting at 5-4 with the Saints in the lead, and I'm like, you at 5-4. I mean, the Vikings are 5-4 in second in the NFC North. I mean, if the Saints did well going forward, they'd be okay. They did have a pretty good game with the Bears. It was back and forth where it looked like the Bears, like Chicago, was going to come back and take the win.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Saints got it done late in the game. Let's see, 7-7 first quarter, 7-7 second quarter. So they were tied 14-14. And then they went 3. They both got a field goal third quarter. And then New Orleans got the touchdown in the fourth quarter. And Bears did nothing at the end. So that was a back and forth game that was like, oh, this could absolutely go either way. It was not done until the fat lady sang for that one.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So really good stuff going on with football. I mean, we're halfway through the season, right? I mean, we're at 9 weeks in, and there's another 9 coming.
Mm-hmm. Correctamundo.
So it'll be interesting to see how everything pans out after that. Anthony, anything else that you want to capitalize on before we sign off? I know we were gonna maybe talk wrestling and stuff, but I know you didn't get to see Crown Jewel. I only saw one match. I know what happened. But now that it's just like all of a sudden they're gearing towards Survivor Series. So we can talk about that another time.
Series.
Yeah, if you want
we
to.
could probably get we could probably do a wrestling thing with as it gets closer to Survivor Series. I know that's coming up in a couple weeks, but I mean, the thing that I took away from and we'll just briefly do something, but just give our little thoughts. I mean, I didn't watch it either, but at this point, I kind of know the results of what a lot of the things were. I mean, Seth retaining was big. He's just doing great with his title defense right now. Reigns, we knew LA Knight going into it was not going to win, but how he lost was going to be determining how they move forward with him. Again, I didn't see the full match, but it seems like he did pretty well. So let's hope that he continues to kind of ride this wave instead of them just like chopping it off, being like, all right, well, that was the end of it. Cool. We'll just let it go. Because I mean, I think he has some potential to do something, but we'll see where it gets taken there. But I think the one that you and me both take away from it is the fact that Logan Paul is the new United States champion, which I am happy for him because we've been, saying high praises about Logan Paul on this podcast here, and we're big fans of him. And knowing that he's not a, true wrestler, but he's, part of like the celebrity wrestler thing like Bad Bunny, but he showed the biggest amount of respect and knowing that he's a good worker in his match because Rey Mysterio almost broke his damn neck in the one move that he almost botched, and Logan knew to
absolutely saved him. Yeah. And I think that's going to go a very long way for him. It's not just
more respect. Yeah, that he's a good worker. Many people will be able to work with him, knowing that he's gonna have your back.
Yeah, and like you said, other people like backstage were watching that match and were probably like, the fact that he saved that, like, I'd put my trust in him because for as many people as want to crap on like the idea of, oh, well, he didn't grow up through the system and they only brought him in because he's got social media following. And it's like, this guy has not missed at all.
100%.
Every time I watch that guy on my screen, I'm like, this guy is born to do this. And I want to go back.
He's a pure athlete.
He's a pure athlete, but he also has an investment in, or maybe he understands the cultural shift in like it's not wrestling, it's sports entertainment, and the fact that he's like,
Yeah.
I can be athletic, I can be an entertainer, so why can't I be a sports entertainer? And why can't I do this? And he's literally putting all the naysayers. People are going to crap on him because people are going to crap on anyone anyway, no matter what. I just wanted to go back to we were talking earlier. I don't remember if this was like at the start of the episode or before we started, but when you meet someone or you encounter someone, if you're in customer service or like for me, when I have gone out to dinner and I've had service and I'm just like, I can remember one server that I had distinctly. I remember her name. I remember where it is. I hope she's still there because I was like, I remember she walked away and I gave her a great tip because I was like, she was like born to do what she's doing. And when you can encounter that level of greatness on any platform, on any profession, in any encounter where you're just like, I wouldn't have wanted anyone else to have handled this situation for me in a time of need. When I think about Logan Paul, I think Triple H goes to him and says, I can put you up against Roman Reigns and let's just see what happens. And that match absolutely smoked. It was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Really good.
And anytime I've seen Logan Paul in a WWE ring, he's delivered and then some. Anyone that wants to challenge me on that, come talk to me. Let me talk to you. All right. So,
Let me talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think it's weird that you don't see Bad Bunny as much because he's probably way busier traveling. And Logan Paul is very like podcast oriented, like social media guru. And if WWE or Triple H calls him and says, hey, I need you to do this thing, he's able to shift his schedule and say, yeah, no, I can make that work. And then he shows up and he delivers, right? That's what's great about him.
Mm-hmm.
And the press conference that that Triple H did, I think it was after Mania, where people were like, how do you, I think someone in the Q&A press conference was like, how do your other like full-time wrestlers feel about these part-timer like celebrities coming in? And Triple H was just like, step up. I don't know. Like,
right. Yeah.
Proof is in the pudding. This guy is delivering. Okay. Yeah. And Bad Bunny has done nothing wrong as far as I've seen. His match with Priest in Puerto Rico at Backlash
was great.
So great. So
was great. Yeah.
So great. I can't wait to see more from that. I mean, I think honestly, Logan Paul needs to keep the United States Championship until Pat McAfee challenges him at WrestleMania 4, and Pat McAfee needs to win. That to me would be perfect. But
that would be cool. Yeah.
But again, if there's a better contender that's like a full-time wrestler, LA Knight could do it. If he's like the
LA
most
Knight could be in there too.
The most over face, you're not going to give him one of the top tier. And when I say top tier, I do mean undisputed world heavyweight, and he's not beating Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Missing me with that, okay? That belongs to someone else. And it could be Dragunov, who is the NXT champion right now, and he's just blowing it up down there. I do. Jeez, we could go on about wrestling forever, but we can
absolutely.
It's early November. We can talk about it forever and all the other times. So maybe let's wrap this one up for now. You go with that?
Yeah, definitely, man. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been another episode of One Set. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe to us on YouTube right here. Click that button below. Make sure you tell your friends and family we're here every Friday at 9 a.m. Uploads every week. And make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. Check out One Set. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I keep saying Twitter when I mean TikTok, at One Set Pod, and then send us some emails at onesetpod@gmail.com. And for episode 100, I had an idea of, if anybody wants to send us some voicemails, we have a link in our description, in the YouTube description, to send us some voice messages via our Anchor website. We have episode 100 coming up, and if you guys want to send us some voicemails, we'll read them right on the pod for that episode for you guys. So feel free to send us some voicemails, what you like about the show, what you don't. We'll read some, and let us know how much you like the show, what you would want to see, and we will see you guys all next week. Love you guys.
All the love. Thank you.